And so in a previous video we learned about electronic configuration and how to write electronic configuration. Now we'll try to learn about the classification of elements based on the electronic configuration. So how elements are classified on the basis of electronic configuration we will learn. So based on the electronic configuration, there are two types two types of classification. All the elements are classified into two different ways. Okay, so one type of classification is called as Bohr's classification, and another type of classification is called as differentiating electron classification. Okay, the Bohr's classification, it is based on the complete or incomplete orbits. Okay, so based on the complete orbits or incomplete orbits, and if incomplete, how many incomplete orbits, and all those things. So based on those things, the Bohr's classification is done. Okay. Next, differentiating electron classification. Differentiating electron classification is based on the last entered electron into an atom. So based on that, differentiating electron classification is done. So we will learn about differentiating electron classification later. So for time being, just we will go with Bohr's classification. After completion of this one, we will learn about differentiating electron classification. So Bohr's classification. Now, according to Bohr's classification, all the elements are divided into four different classes. One type of elements are called as inert gases. Another type of elements are called as representative elements. Third one is known as transitional elements. Fourth one is known as inner transitional elements. So we will learn about all these elements one by one. First we will learn about inert gases. What are inert gases? Inert gases, there are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inert gases. What are they? Helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, okay, radon, and argon. So everyone should try to remember these inert gases, because based on the inert gases only entire chemistry depends. Okay, right. Next, see, in these elements, in these elements, that means in these inert gases, so we will learn some points. All orbits are completely filled. All shells or orbits are completely filled with electrons. So in helium you will find 1s2 configuration, because helium is having only one orbit. Okay, and that orbit is first orbit, maximum capacity is two electrons only. Hence helium, uh, it is said to be completely filled, because in helium only one orbit is there, and that orbit's maximum capacity is 2. Hence it is said to be completely filled shell. So helium and all other inert gases, other element of this group, okay, they possess ns2 np6 configuration in the outermost shell. ns2 or np6 configuration in the outermost shell. All other inner shells are filled, even outermost shell is also filled. So remember that the maximum capacity of outermost shell, except helium, except first orbit, all other orbits, the maximum capacity of outermost orbit will be 8. So here they should possess 2 electrons in S and 6 electrons in P. So like that. So now with this electronic configuration. This is a stable electronic configuration. So all these are stable gases or a stable element. They are stable elements and all of them are gases. Stable gaseous elements. Okay, stable. They are gaseous elements. Okay, and okay, as they are stable, they are said to be chemically inactive. They are said to be chemically non-reactive. Okay, as they are chemically non-reactive, chemically non-reactive under normal condition. Under normal conditions. Under normal conditions, they are chemically non-reactive. Okay, as they are chemically non-reactive, hence they are called as inert gas. Inert means chemically non-reactive. Okay, the meaning of inert is chemically non-reactive. So because they do not participate in any chemical reaction, these atoms, they do not want to combine with any other atoms because already these atoms are stable atoms. As these atoms are stable atoms, they do not participate in chemical reactions, they do not combine with any other atom, or else they do not form compounds. Okay, but higher elements, that means after argon, so from krypton onwards, but higher elements, they form, higher elements may form, okay, may form compounds only under special conditions. Only under special conditions they form compounds. Only under special conditions they form compounds. Hence, the name, it is changed from inert gases to noble gases. So the name is changed from inert gases to noble gases because some of the higher members are forming compounds. That means if they form compounds, when do they form compounds? When they react with other elements, they form compounds. So now higher elements are able to react with other elements. Hence the name inert gases is not appropriated to these elements. So now the name inert gases is changed to noble gases. But still we are using the name inert gases also. Okay, noble gases, and they are also called as rare gases. Okay, rare gases, or else erogens. Okay, or else simply eighth group elements or zero group elements. So with the different names we call them. Okay, right. Next, every period ends with every period ends with the inert gas element. First period ends with helium, second period ends with neon, third period ends with argon, fourth period ends with krypton, fifth period with xenon, sixth period with radon, and seventh period with oganesson. So every period ends with inert gas element. Okay, so like this, these are some important points which we should learn about the inert gases. Okay, right. Inert gases are placed at the extreme right side of the periodic table. Okay, at the extreme right side of the periodic table under 18th group. Okay, right. So now we will learn about the representative elements. So in inert gases, all shells are completely filled. So this is most important. All shells are completely filled in inert gas. But in represented these elements, all shells are not completely filled. So we will learn how they are filled in these elements. Only in inert gases, all shells are completely filled. Okay. Now we will learn about the representative elements. Right. Representative elements. What are representative elements? These elements, these elements, except in these elements, except outermost orbit, except outermost orbit, okay, all other orbits, all other shells are completely filled. All other shells are completely filled. Okay, all other shells are completely filled with electrons. With electrons. Okay. So that means in represented elements, which shell is not completely filled? Outermost shell, outermost orbit is not completely filled. Okay. So their outermost shell, they contain how many electrons? What is the maximum capacity of outermost shell? We discussed. So the maximum capacity of outermost shell should be 8. But in represented elements, so the number of electrons in the outermost shell will be maybe 1 to 7, but not 8. If outermost shell contains 8 electrons, then these elements are said to be filled. They are said to be having outermost shell filled. But here, these represented elements, outermost shell is not filled. That means they may contain 1 electron or 2 electron or 3 electrons, or else up to 7 electrons. So that means if they contain up to 7 electron, then only they are said to be last outermost shell is said to be incompletely filled. Right. Now, general electronic configuration. So representative elements, general electronic configuration. General electronic configuration. Every element will have its own configuration, but putting all these elements together, so we can write a general electronic configuration. It is like this: NS 122, NP 0 to 5. Okay, that means some elements may contain 1 electron in s orbital and 0 electrons in p orbital. Some electron may contain 2 electron in s orbital and 1 electron in p orbital, or 0 electron in p orbital, or 2 electrons, or 3 or 4 or 5. So like that. For example, take lithium. Lithium, its configuration is 1s2, 2s1. So this is the outermost orbit. So what n represent? N represent outermost orbit. So n is nothing but what? N, outermost orbit. Outermost orbit, or else valency shell. So in writing the general electronic configuration, we will write the valency shell, or else outermost orbit electrons only. Okay, electrons of outermost orbit only, because the thing is, the electrons of outermost orbit only are reactive electrons. Other electrons are non-reactive. Okay, so in general, the electrons which are present in the outermost orbit are said to be chemically reactive, and all other electrons means the electrons present in the inner orbits, they are not reactive. Hence, we will consider only the electrons present in the outermost orbit. Okay, right. So now in lithium, this is inner orbit, first orbit and second orbit. This is the outermost orbit. So it is having only 1 electron in S, and there is no electron in P. 2p0. Suppose if you take nitrogen, so it contains 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Sorry, 2p3. 2p3. So here it is having S is having 2 electrons and P is having 3 electrons. So if you take fluorine, 1s2, 2s2, 2p5, outermost orbit we have to take. So that means, so all these are said to be representative elements only. So in the S, the outermost orbit, S may contain 1 or 2, 1 to 2. So as it is general electronic configuration, we have to consider, we have to write the electronic configuration based on all the elements present in the representative element. So based on the all elements, we have to write this configuration. So hence it is called as general electronic configuration. So right. So like this will be the general electronic configuration, right, of inert gases. See, in these inert gases, okay, in these inert gases, in these representative elements, the elements belong to metals, okay, non-metals. All non-metals are present here only. All non-metals. There is no non-metal in other groups. So only in representative elements you will find non-metals. So in other elements you don't find any non-metal. Okay, inert gases, they are different. They are special elements. Okay, in transition elements all are metals. In inner transitional elements also all are metals. But representative elements contain non-metals, metalloids, and metals. Okay, metals, actually metalloids should be written in the middle. Metals, metalloids and non-metals, okay, are present. But all metalloids and all non-metals, they are present in representative elements only. These elements, they are not present in any other place. Okay, right. Next point is, they are abundantly available. They are available. Abundantly means large amounts. Abundantly available in the atmosphere, in the nature. They are abundantly available in the nature, and they are active. They are active elements. Active elements. So which elements are most active elements? Means out of these four classes, so representative elements are the active elements. The most active elements are representative elements. So these elements are not that much active as representative elements. Okay, that means most of the chemical reactions are because of representative elements only. Okay, next one is, all types of valencies are present. So all types of valencies, that means how many types of valencies? All the three types of valencies are there. Generally elements shows three types of valencies. So these representative elements show all the three types of valencies. That means some out of some element out of so many representative elements, some elements show electrovalency. It is also called as ionic valency. Some elements show covalency, and some elements show coordinate valency. Okay, so that means these elements show these three types of valencies. So electrovalency, covalency, and coordinate valency also. Right. Next, the number of electrons in the outermost shell indicates the group number of the elements. So that means the number of electrons in the outermost shell. The outermost shell indicates or signifies okay, the group number of that element. The group number of that element. Example, take nitrogen. In nitrogen, 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. Okay, so how many electrons are there in the outermost orbit? So in the outermost shell, so how many electrons are there? There are 5 electrons. 5 electrons. Hence it is said to be fifth A group element. Okay, so that means based on the number of electrons in the outermost orbit, we can tell the group to which that element belongs. Suppose if you take sodium, so 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. So outermost orbit contains only one electron. Hence, it is said to be, as it is having only one electron, it is said to be a first A group element. So like this, so based on the number of electrons in the outermost shell, the group number of that these elements can be, can be told. Okay. So like this, the representative, these are the most important points related to representative elements. Okay, right. So now we will learn about the transitional elements. What are transitional elements? See where these elements are located in the periodic table. So if I draw the periodic table, long form of periodic table, the middle portion, these are called as the transitional elements. Transitional elements. Transitional elements. So these elements and these elements together, these elements together. So actually, where does the inert gases are located? Inert gases. So this portion. So this portion, in this portion, inert gases are present. Inert gases are present, and this portion. So now this portion, so this one and this one, okay, this one and this one, they are called as representative elements. Representative element, they are also called as representative elements, are also called as normal elements. And below the periodic table, so you will find two series of elements. Okay, they are called as inner transitional elements. Inner transitional elements. Inner transitional elements. Okay, so the location or the position of the elements, inert gases, is extreme right side of the periodic table. Okay, so I mean here towards the this is the middle. In the middle you will find transition elements. Towards the left side and towards the right side of the transitional elements you will find representative elements. So representative elements are distributed here towards the left side and towards the right side of the transition elements. Okay, next, inner transition elements are kept at the bottom of the periodic table. Okay, right. See, inner transition elements, they are divided into two series, actually two series of elements. So first series of elements are called as lanthanides. Lanthanides. So here 14 elements are there, lanthanides, like this. And here actinides are also, there are 14 elements. So actinides, lanthanides are 14 and actinides are also 14 elements. Together they are called as inner transitional elements. So how many inner transitional elements are there altogether? There are 28 inner transitional elements are there. Okay, so but transitional elements, actually transitional elements are divided into four series. 1, 2, 3, 4 series of elements. Okay, so we will learn all these points about transition elements. So each series contains 9 elements. 9 elements. Okay, each series contains how many? 9 elements. So like this, 9 elements each. And so 9 into 4, how many? 36 transitional elements are there. In the last group, so in the middle, so last group you will find zinc, cadmium, mercury and copernicium. Zinc, cadmium, mercury and copernicium. Zinc, cadmium, mercury and copernicium. See, these elements are not included in any of these classes. This is important. So though zinc, cadmium, mercury and copernicium, they belong to second B, but they are not included in any of these classes. So that is the important point. So in Bohr's classification, so these elements were neglected. They were not included in any of these class. Okay, right. So we learn about the transitional elements now. Okay, so we have seen the position of the transitional elements. Okay, and inner transition elements, and where the representative elements are present and where the inert gases are present. Okay, so I am rubbing it off. So because we have to cover the transition elements. What are transitional elements? So in transitional elements, the last two orbits are incompletely filled. So last two orbit means, suppose if this is the nucleus, first orbit, second orbit, and like this. So there are so many orbits with electrons. So electrons are present in all these orbits, but last two orbits, they contain electrons but incompletely filled electrons. So these last two orbits may be anything. Okay, last two orbits, simply I have drawn few orbits, so don't count the number now. So here last two orbits only. So whatever it may be, last two orbits are incompletely filled. When last two in all these elements, last two orbits are incompletely filled. So last orbit is said to be ultimate shell. Last orbit is said to be ultimate shell, and last but one orbit is said to be penultimate shell. It is said to be penultimate shell. Okay, ultimate shell and penultimate shells. Okay, so in these elements, ultimate shell and penultimate shells both are incompletely filled. Okay, here all the shells are completely filled. Here only one shell, last shell is incompletely filled. Here two shells are incompletely filled. Here three shells are incompletely filled. All shells are completely filled. Only one shell is incompletely filled. Here last shell is incompletely filled. Here last two shells are incompletely filled. Here last three shells are incompletely filled. So transition elements means last two orbits, or else last two shells are incompletely filled with the electrons. Okay, now